Once upon a time, in a kingdom painted with golden sunsets and emerald forests, there lived a princess named Althea. She was not like other princesses who spent their days merely attending balls or learning courtly manners. Althea possessed a rare passion, a fascination with creation. But she did not create with paint or words. Her magic lay in the delicate weave of thread and fabric. Her father, King Dorian, ruled the land with a careful hand, his mind always on treaties and taxes. Her mother, Queen Seraphina, was known for her grace and diplomacy, yet even she could not understand Althea's fascination with fabrics and stitching. The castle servants often whispered that the princess spent hours in the old attic, surrounded by piles of velvet, silk, and lace. No one knew why, and no one dared question her. One stormy night, when the rain fell in silver sheets and the wind howled like 1,000 wolves, Althea found herself drawn to the attic once more. There, amidst trunks of forgotten treasures and spiderwebbed mirrors, she discovered something extraordinary. It was an old sewing machine, unlike any she had ever seen. Its body gleamed as if polished with moonlight, and its needle shimmered with a faint, otherworldly glow. Curiously, intricate runes were carved into the metal, and the foot pedal seemed almost alive, quivering like a small heartbeat. Althea approached the machine cautiously, her fingers hovering above the smooth surface. As she touched it, a warm pulse traveled through her hand, as if the machine recognized her. She whispered, "Who are you?" and the machine hummed softly in response. That night, she worked for hours, sewing a simple square of blue silk, and to her astonishment, the fabric danced beneath the needle on its own, stitching itself into a perfectly embroidered pattern. The next morning, Althea could hardly contain her excitement. She tried again, this time making a small cloak for the castle cat, Moonlight. As she pressed the foot pedal, threads wove themselves into intricate designs of stars and moons. The cloak shimmered, sparkling as if dusted with starlight, and when she draped it over Moonlight, the cat pranced about proudly, as if aware of the enchantment woven into every stitch. Althea realized she had found a magical gift. This was no ordinary sewing machine, it could bring fabrics to life and infuse creations with the essence of dreams. She spent days experimenting, sewing dresses that shimmered like rivers, capes that could shelter the wearer from the rain, and gloves that made the hands that wore them faster and lighter. But as wondrous as the magic was, it had its limits. The machine demanded care and focus, and its powers could not be used for greed or malice. Any attempt to craft selfishly caused the threads to knot and the fabrics to fray. Word of her marvelous creations spread quietly among the castle staff and the few trusted villagers who visited the court. Soon, people from faraway lands sought her garments, hoping to capture a fragment of the magic they had heard about. Althea, however, was careful. She refused gold, jewels, and lavish gifts, sewing only for those she deemed worthy. She believed that magic, like art, should be shared with love, not sold to the highest bidder. One day, a desperate message arrived at the castle. A neighboring kingdom had fallen under a terrible curse. The royal family had been struck by a strange sickness, leaving them weak and pale. No physician, alchemist, or wizard could cure them. Hearing this, Althea felt a pull in her heart she could not ignore. She knew her magical sewing machine might hold the key. She packed her tools, a bundle of enchanted fabrics, and set off on horseback under the silver glow of dawn. The journey was long and perilous. Dark forests loomed, their branches tangled like skeletal fingers, and rivers roared with unbridled fury. At night, she camped under the stars, sewing small charms into her garments to protect herself. Why? With every stitch, she whispered prayers, and the fabric shimmered with protective magic. By the time she reached the cursed kingdom, she was weary but determined. The palace there was quiet, the halls empty except for the groans of illness. Althea was shown to the royal chambers, where the king and queen lay upon their beds, fragile as porcelain. Their children, 2 young princes, clutched each other in fear. Althea unpacked her magical sewing machine and set to work. She carefully selected threads dyed with the petals of enchanted flowers, silk spun from the moonlit rivers, and lace woven by spiders that lived only in the realm of dreams. She measured, cut, and stitched, her fingers moving with grace and purpose. As the machine hummed to life, the room filled with a soft glow. Threads wove themselves into patterns of sunlight, hope, and renewal. Althea whispered, "May this cloak carry life back to you, may these garments restore strength to your weary bones." By dawn, the royal family was clothed in Althea's creations. The king inhaled a deep breath and felt warmth spreading through his chest. The queen opened her eyes, her face brightening like the morning sun, and the young princes laughed for the first time in weeks. News of the miracle spread like wildfire. The neighboring kingdoms were awed by the princess who could heal with thread and needle. But not everyone celebrated her talents. In the shadowed corners of the world, there were those who craved the power of the magical machine for themselves. One evening, under the cover of darkness, a masked figure slipped into Althea's chamber, aiming to steal the precious sewing machine. But Althea was ready. The machine seemed to sense the intrusion. Threads shot out like silver snakes, tangling the intruder in a cocoon of glowing fabric. When the figure struggled and lifted the mask, it was revealed to be the kingdom's own treacherous minister, who had long envied the princess's independence and skill. Althea was firm but merciful. She sewed a robe around him imbued with humility and kindness. The minister awoke the next morning, transformed, not physically, but in heart. He apologized for his greed and vowed to serve the kingdom with honesty from that day forward. Althea smiled, knowing that magic was not just about healing the body, but also the spirit. Years passed, and the princess became renowned across all lands. She crafted gowns for queens, capes for knights, and robes for scholars. Yet, her most treasured moments were not of praise or jewels, but of the simple joys she found in creation. She would sit by her window, sewing small gifts for the castle children, watching their eyes light up as magic threaded through the fabric. She taught them that creation was not only skill but also love, patience, and imagination. One day, as Althea worked on a particularly intricate tapestry depicting the story of her life, she noticed a soft, golden glow emanating from the sewing machine. The runes carved into it shimmered brighter than ever before. Curious, she touched the glowing needle. Instantly, she felt herself lifted into a swirl of colors and patterns. The machine spoke, not in words, but in visions. It showed her the countless worlds where her magic could reach, beyond mountains, oceans, and even time. She saw villages saved from storms, forests healed from fires, and hearts lifted from sorrow, all by the gentle power of creativity. Althea understood then that the sewing machine was more than a tool, it was a bridge between imagination and reality, a reminder that even the smallest act of creation could ripple through the world in ways unseen. From that day forward, she vowed to travel beyond her own kingdom, spreading the magic of hope, beauty, and kindness wherever she went. And so, Princess Althea became more than a princess. She became a legend, a weaver of dreams, a healer of hearts, and a guardian of magic. Her sewing machine, resting always in her hands, hummed with life, eager to bring the next wonder to life. And though kingdoms rose and fell, and the years rolled on like rivers, the story of the princess and her magical sewing machine endured, whispered wherever threads were woven and hearts were mended. In the end, Althea's greatest creation was not a garment or a tapestry, but the realization that magic is not in power or riches, it is in love, care, and the courage to create. And as long as there were hearts willing to imagine, the threads of wonder she wove would never unravel.